Hi everyone, welcome to week 1 and chapter 1 of DEN 205. So this week we're going to be talking about an introduction to law and ethics. And we're going to be learning about both healthcare related law and ethics and how that relates back to dental. So reasons to study law and ethics. 1, to help you function at the highest possible professional level while you're providing competent healthcare to patients. So that's kind of the main point of all this. We want to be sure that we are professional and we are making sure that legally and ethically we are taking care of our patients. To help you avoid legal entanglements that can threaten your ability to earn a living as a successful healthcare practitioner. And then we also live in a very litigious society. Litigious refers to people suing. So people are sue happy these days. We want to try to prevent us or our offices from getting sued from these patients. So the focus of law and health ethics in healthcare. Knowledge of law and ethics can help you gain a perspective in the 3 following areas. So number 1, the rights, responsibilities, and concerns of healthcare consumers. Number 2, the legal and ethical issues facing society, patients, and healthcare practitioners. And number 3, the impact of rising costs on the laws and ethics of healthcare delivery. So some litigation terminology just to start things off so we're on the same page. Plaintiff. The plaintiff is the person bringing charges in a lawsuit. So they're the one that is suing somebody else. And then you have the defendant who is defending themselves against the plaintiff. So the charges are brought against them and they have to defend if they're right or not, essentially. Liable just means that you're legally responsible or obligated if you're liable to do something. Summary judgment is a decision made by the court that pleads no basis for trial. Precedent are decisions made by judges in various courts that then become rules of law and apply to other cases. So when a court case is determined, a lot of the times what is determined in that court case will be a precedent and used in procedures for future court cases, and that's how they kind of determine punishments or sentences, things like that. And then litigious, again, we kind of talked about that last slide, just you're prone to sue each other, you're prone to be in lawsuits. So let's start with product liability. So products are referring to any kind of equipment that we use in the medical realm. So manufacturers of healthcare equipment and product dealers can be held indirectly responsible for defective products through the following types. A breach of warranty. So if the product has a warranty and something fails with it. Untrue statements, so if they're false advertising or claiming something that is simply just not true. And then defective products, so if the product is just outright defective. And lastly, we have fraud, if they're intentionally deceitful. So again, that kind of goes with untrue statements, where they're just telling lies about the products, things that are not true. All right, let's now cover a comparison of law and ethics. So law and ethics kind of work together, but they are two very different things. So laws are governing rules. They are set by the government, and it's essentially to protect the public. Ethics, on the other hand, are not laws. They are more so principles or standards or guides of how you should conduct yourself. So it kind of like your values and morals, things like that, things that are taught to you by usually your parents or family or someone you look up to. That is usually who is teaching you about morals, ethics, things like that. So law, first of all, it's formally recognized, it is binding, usually it's set by the government or a law agency to enforce it. It is the minimum standard necessary to keep society functioning. So if someone breaks the law, they can get into a lot of trouble. They could go to court or see a judge or go to jail, things like that. There's fines, imprisonment, or even both. Ethics, on the other hand, focuses more on that behavior and your morals, your concept of right and wrong. So moral values are formed through the influence of family, your culture, your background, and society as a whole. So like I said before, law and ethics are different, but they also kind of go hand in hand. So they are intertwined and influence healthcare professionals' conduct and decision making. So we have to keep both law and ethics in mind when we're making decisions as healthcare professionals. They have very important differences, however. So laws are governing rules and ethics are more so internal principles, and it's subjective. So one person can think that their ethics are correct and another person can have the opposite morals and values and think that their way is correct. So each person sees things a little bit differently when it comes to ethics, whereas laws, like, that's the law. One thing to note, unlawful acts are always unethical because it's going against what the law is stating. So if something is unlawful, it is always unethical. On the other hand, unethical behavior doesn't always mean that it's illegal. So sometimes if you feel like something's unethical, it can still be legal to do so. You just may feel against it. So that's an important thing to note. You'll probably see that on your homework and future quizzes and tests. All right, early medical codes of ethics. So we kind of started a long time ago with the Code of Hammurabi. It discussed the conduct expected of physicians at that time, including fees that could be charged, which is pretty interesting. And then next we have the Hippocratic Oath. It is still used today, the Hippocratic Oath, but it was also a pledge for physicians influenced by the practices of the Greek physician Hippocrates. So I'm sure you guys have probably heard of that before, whether it be in high school or previous college or just in life in general. But Hippocratic Oath is something that is typically still taught today for physicians. And then we also have in 1803, Percival's Medical Ethics. So that superseded earlier codes to become the definitive guide for a physician's professional conduct. Now in modern day, we also have some newer codes of ethics. So these are usually established by professional organizations that the members are a part of. It can govern the behaviors of members, increase the level of competence and standards of care within the group, but it does not have legal authority. Again, ethics does not always mean that it's unlawful. So no legal authority for these codes of ethics. Some examples, dental related, the ADA, the American Dental Association, the AAPHD, the American Association of Public Health Dentistry, and then the ADAA, American Dental Assistants Association. Now, if you download this presentation under your materials and resources, you are able to click these links and it'll take you to these codes of ethics so you can take a look. But we're going to take a look here at the ADAA's Code of Ethics. Number 1, cause no harm. Uphold all federal, state, and local laws and regulations. Be truthful and honest in verbal, financial, and treatment endeavors. Recognize and report signs of abuse to proper authorities. Assist in informed decision-making of treatment options while respecting the rights of patients to determine the final course of treatment to be rendered. Do not discriminate against others. Support, promote, and participate in access to care efforts through education, professional activities, and programs. Deliver optimum care utilizing professional knowledge, judgment, and skill within the law. Be compassionate, respectful, kind, and fair to employers, coworkers, and patients. And then create and maintain a safe work environment. So all super important things that we kind of just expect to be done, but really those things can easily just not be done if we do harm to a patient or are treating people with no respect, things like that. That kind of goes against those codes of ethics. So things that we need to keep in mind every day while we are doing our jobs. Next, let's talk about bioethics. So bioethics is a discipline dealing with the ethical implications of biological research methods and results, especially in medicine. So bioethicists or medical ethicists are specialists who consult with medical professionals to help make difficult decisions. A lot of these places also have an ethics committee. So these are the people responsible that help kind of determine solutions to these difficult healthcare issues related to bioethics. Most of these committees are found in the hospital setting. So a lot of times that's where these difficult decisions are having to be made, like taking someone off of sedation if they are brain dead, things like that, where we're not seeing too much of that in the dental world, big important decisions like that, so more so in the hospital settings. Members can include physicians, nurses, social workers, clergy, family members, community members. So kind of a good mix of different types of people. You don't just want all physicians because they're going to go more the scientific route. So you want a broad group of people involved so that all different backgrounds can come together and help make a decision. All right, etiquette next. So etiquette is standards of behavior considered good manners. So things that we're taught, as you can see in this picture, being punctual, helping others, being a team player, things like that. That all kind of revolves around etiquette. Standard rules of etiquette are applied to a place of employment. Qualities for success in healthcare. So we are going to go by the 3 C's here. So number 1, courtesy, the practice of good manners. Number 2, compassion or empathy. Number 3, common sense, which is sound practical judgment. Other qualities that are important in healthcare, people skills. So any skills that allow you to get along well with others. Being a team player is a huge part of working in healthcare. So being able to have good people skills and just being respectful and kind and having that ability to work well with others is huge. And then technical skills. These are different skills that you may need to study for, like computer literacy, or even using different tools and instruments, things like that. So not necessarily an internal people skill, but something that can be learned in relation to your job. Right, so professional traits of dental clinicians, a little more specific here. That previous slide was more so going over healthcare in general. These are some important traits for dental. Honest and have integrity. Caring and compassionate. That's a huge part of dentistry that a lot of people aren't aware when they first start. So many patients are just scared of being at the dentist. They don't want to be there. They have anxiety. So just being caring and compassionate towards them, even being empathetic, just shows that you understand what they're going through and just want to help them try to get through the appointment as best as they can. Being reliable and responsible. This is more so good for your employer if they know that you're reliable and someone that they can trust and rely in, that they're going to show up on time and you're not going to be late and you're going to do what you need to do is really important. Being mature and able to self-analyze yourself, being able to admit if you're wrong and understand your mistakes and be able to grow from those mistakes is huge. Loyal, good interpersonal communication, and then respect for yourself and your other coworkers and peers. So let's talk about critical thinking next. So some steps in the problem solving process. First, if we come across any kind of problem, whether it's unethical, unlawful, anything, we need to first figure out what that problem is. Where's the problem? How did we get to this problem? Things like that. Next, we want to gather as much information as we can about the problem. So like, again, what led to this problem? What can we try to do to fix this problem? Like, how did this happen? How did we get here? And then we want to evaluate the evidence. So everything that we've gathered, we need to kind of analyze it and just figure out exactly which step in the process was the issue at. Next, we're going to consider alternatives and implications. So next time that we perform this task, how can we do it differently? That way we don't come across this error again. And then we need to choose the best alternative. There's going to be several different options usually of ways that you could go about it. We just have to pick the best one. So how do we determine if a decision is in fact ethical? If you perform this act, will you have followed both the law and your organization's policies? If yes, great, we'll go forward. If no, then we kind of need to take a step back, look at our organization's policies, look at even like the ADA's code of ethics, things like that, and just see what they would like us to do. If we're going against that, we definitely need to change something. Something's not right. Will you promote a win-win situation as best as possible? So we don't want anyone to have to suffer because of this decision. We want everyone to win. So if that's able to be done, that's great. That's usually leaning more ethical. How would you react if this act was publicized in the newspaper or other media? Pretend even you're an outside source, someone not in dental, and it gets published in the newspaper or something. Are you going to read that and be like, what the heck? Like, what were they thinking? So that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound like it's okay. If you would react fine to reading that in the newspaper, then you're good to go. Keep going on. Would you want your family members to know? So someone that you love, someone that's close to you and that you respect their opinion highly, would you want them to know about this decision? If yes, go ahead. If not, we may need to look a little bit deeper and figure something else out. And then can you look at yourself in the mirror? So how do you feel about yourself if you make this decision? If it's something that you feel like you're going to wake up 5 years down the road and be like, I'm still thinking about this every day and I feel awful for what I did and what I decided, that's not something that you want to do. You want to just feel right with your decisions. So if you are looking at yourself in the mirror and being like, that wasn't the best decision, we may need to take a step back again and just figure out a different way to go about this. If you feel like down the road you'll be like, I am still so secure with that decision and feel like I made the right decision, then hopefully it's an ethical decision for you.